regular meeting of the Newport News School Board for Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. On behalf of the members of the school board and Dr. Mitchell, I welcome each of you present this evening and those who are watching on TV and online. A quorum is present to transact the business of the school division. We will begin tonight's meeting with an invocation and pledge to the flag. Here to do the honors is a student from Hilton Elementary, and I believe, is it pronounced Jacoby Cullis? Great. Would you come to the front? Thank you. And please correct me. Say your name.
Jacoby Cullis.
Cullis. Thank you. Welcome. We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I play baseball. All right. My favorite subject's math.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Are you going to share your invocation with us now? We appreciate it.
If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out in the world you'll find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later the one who wins is the one who thinks he can.
Oh, thank you. I'm thinking that spoke to everyone in this room. Okay, you ready for the pledge? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. You did a wonderful job. Did you bring anyone with you tonight?
My mom, a friend, my teacher, and my principal.
Okay, why don't you go stand with them? You guys can. We do appreciate you making sure that he was with us this evening, and thank you very much for your support. So, I would like to remember, I guess, in these, when we have our students come up and speak, as Jacoby did tonight, this is what it's about. And this is why we're here. And it means so much for you to take your time to come. But we have to remember that you are the reason we do what we do. So thank you for that. The next item on tonight's agenda is school board recognitions. Dr. Mitchell, please join me at the podium.
Thank you. Good evening. We are very excited to recognize some great students this evening. The Newport News Public Schools Athletics Program enhances the character and physical development of student athletes, preparing them for the future by instilling in them the value of teamwork, encouraging a standard of healthy living, imparting a desire for success, and developing a sense of fair play and competition. This evening, we have the honor and privilege of recognizing some outstanding student athletes who achieved great success during the winter athletics season. The student athletes honored this evening have achieved excellence and success in their sport through hard work, dedication, practice, team play, and team spirit nurtured by dedicated coaching. During the Virginia High School League State Indoor Track Championship held at Liberty University, 4 members of the Heritage High School girls track team captured state titles. Please join us in congratulating Madison White, who earned 3 state titles this year. Ms. White, would you please come forward? Would you please stand right? Come over. Thank you. Ms. White ran the 55-meter dash in 6.94 seconds to earn the state title for Class 4. Breaking her own meet record from 2022. She also earned a state title in the 300-meter dash with a time of 37.28 seconds, again breaking her own previous meet record. She was also a member of the 4x400-meter relay team who won the state title, and Ms. White also placed 3rd in the girls' high jump. So we'd like to congratulate Ms. White once again. Our next Heritage honoree is Majane Solomon, who earned 2 state titles at this year's track championships. Ms. Solomon, would you please come forward? Ms. Solomon also was on the 4x400-meter relay team who won the state title. So once again, congratulations, Ms. Solomon. Our next honoree is state champion Sinai Wooden. Ms. Wooden earned a state title and finished 3rd in another event. Please congratulate Sinai Wooden. Ms. Wooden was a member of the 4x400-meter relay team and also earned 3rd place in the 300-meter dash. So once again, congratulations, Ms. Wooden. Our next honoree is senior Sabria Wooden. Ms. Wooden is also a state champion. Ms. Wooden, would you please come forward? Ms. Sabria Wooden was a member of the 4x400-meter relay team. She also placed 3rd in the 500-meter dash with a time of just over 1 minute and 18 seconds. So congratulations, Ms. Wooden. These student athletes and scholars earned the state championship in the 4x400-meter relay with a time of 3 minutes and 58 seconds. With that time, they broke their own meet record from last year. So that is quite impressive. In addition, Sinai Wooden, Sabria Wooden, Majane Solomon, along with teammate Marquette Fitzgerald, came in 2nd in the 4x200-meter relay. So let's give another round of applause to these excellent Heritage student athletes. And we ask you to remain standing as we invite some other athletes to the front. Our next honoree is also a track star. Jeremiah Palacios, a junior at Woodside High School, earned state recognition for his great athletic performance. Mr. Palacios, would you please come forward? We can't mess up the hair. Mr. Palacios earned the Class 5 state title in the long jump during the state indoor track championships. His jump measured 21 feet and 6 inches. Wow. He also placed fourth in the triple jump and third in the 55-meter hurdles. So congratulations to you, Mr. Palacios. Now, during the Virginia High School League State Swim and Dive Championships at the Hampton Aquaplex, our next honoree, Menchville senior Ian Rogers, also earned a state title. Mr. Rogers, would you please come forward? Mr. Rogers earned the Class 5 state title in the 100-yard butterfly with a time of 49.07 seconds. He and his teammates also placed 8th in the state in the 200 free relay. So congratulations to you. In September, the Virginia High School League voted to sanction girls wrestling as an emerging sport. Our next honoree, Cassie Doherty, earned an inaugural state championship in this new athletic competition. Ms. Doherty, would you please come forward? During the championships held in Manassas, Ms. Doherty, a junior at Menchville High School, won the state title in her weight class with a 10-9 decision against a competitor from Kings Fork in the finals. The Virginia Wrestling Association ranks her #1 in the state among girls in her weight class. So congratulations, Ms. Doherty. Yes, indeed. We are so proud of this trailblazing state champion. So I'd like to congratulate all of our state champions. They are truly a testament to the athletic ability, the good sportsmanship, honor, and scholarship. So joining our student athletes to celebrate their success are their family members, and we ask if you would please stand to be recognized. Thank you. Thank you for sharing these wonderful students with us. And we would also like to recognize their school administrators, Heritage Principal Dr. Erling Hunter and Athletic Director Jamie Plecker, Menchville Principal Lisa Egoff, and Athletic Director Jennifer Nuttycomb, and Woodside Principal Dr. Wendy Nichols, and Athletic Director Paul Macklin, and Lee Martin, our Director of Athletics. If you are present, would you please stand? This concludes this evening's recognitions. Our viewing audience will have the opportunity to view this month's school board spotlight. So we will stand in recess for about 8 minutes. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you.
Instead of the heartbreak of busted brackets during March Madness, students and families enjoyed the excitement of March Mania. Family and community engagement specialists hosted a weekend event focused on physical fitness and math literacy at Warwick High School. 900 attendees enjoyed all that March Mania offered, including a cafeteria full of fun games and engaging activities disguised as math exploration stations. Community partners and local businesses offered valuable resources and educational materials for families. Books on Bikes Newport News gladly handed out free books for students to build their at-home library, while parents were able to fill out applications for their young children to attend preschool next school year. Student athletes and volunteers offered a fun basketball clinic for students to sharpen their skills on the court. And in the large gym, 2 events took center stage. First, student teams from 10 elementary schools competed in a challenging mathathon. Young mathematicians rotated through a range of numerical stations to earn points for their school. The first place winners were Riverside Elementary, followed by Richneck and Discovery STEM Academy, who all received custom trophies for their efforts. Next, a fun basketball invitational invited student athletes from across Newport News Public Schools to match their skills with slightly more experienced and older players. In the first game, the All-Star girls were victorious over the NNPS female staff. In the second game, the male staff team didn't hold anything back while defeating the student boys team. And in the final match of the day, the co-ed team of junior varsity and varsity players enjoyed playing and winning against Newport News police officers. Whether students were sharpening their skills in math or on the basketball court, families were engaged, informed, and empowered at March Mania. Students at an Achievable Dream Academy are devoting their weekends to serving their community. Every month or two, the school hosts Service Saturday, which sometimes coincides with its Saturday school schedule as part of an Achievable Dream's unique academic environment. During the month of March, students decided to support Menchville House, which offers love, shelter, and support for women and their children. In the weeks leading up to Service Saturday, Dreamer families and community partners were quick to donate purses and supplies. On the Wednesday before that weekend, young ladies involved in different youth mentoring clubs, including Empower Her, Blossom, and America's Top Model, spent time organizing the donated supplies, cleaning the purses, and writing heartfelt messages to the ladies who will receive the kind gifts. During Service Saturday, these young ladies cheerfully packed 17 purses full of necessary toiletry items, along with additional cleaning supplies, which were all delivered to Menchville House. By giving students a voice in how they support their community, An Achievable Dream is empowering young people to serve with a grateful heart. STEM is bringing elementary and high school students together, building relationships through education. Youth Volunteer Corps of Hampton Roads is a community-focused organization that inspires youth to build life and work skills by serving and positively impacting the lives of others. Thanks to a grant from the City of Newport News Gun Violence Intervention Program, Youth Volunteer Corps has created a brand new initiative this school year called Service Through STEM, which uses mentoring and engaging STEM activities to bring a community of learners together. Service Through STEM starts at the high school level, with all 6 Newport News high schools now hosting Youth Volunteer Corps clubs. During club meetings, over 130 students complete hands-on activities to boost mental health and build coping skills, while focusing on the social-emotional benefits of serving others. High schoolers also prepared for 5 excursions where they had the opportunity to mentor 270 younger students at Marshall Early Learning Center, Discovery STEM Academy, and Newsom Park Elementary. 2 high schools were paired with each of these schools, so mentors and mentees could build meaningful relationships throughout the school year. Each visit included a literacy component, a hands-on engineering challenge, and time for older and younger students to bond through discovery and problem solving. Each of these excursions were strategically scheduled before holidays or long weekends, when attendance numbers traditionally drop. The positive experience of seeing their high school mentors helped increase attendance on these dates by an average of 5% at each school. The theme for this year's Service Through STEM is Elevate. While elementary students are working hard to elevate their STEM skills, high schoolers are focused on elevating their own leadership and communication skills to increase the self-confidence in their dedicated mentees. For both the high school mentors and elementary mentees, participating in Service Through STEM has opened a world of learning opportunities as students look forward to building a brighter future for themselves and for others. Heritage High School's NJROTC cadets are on an important mission to help the students at Newsom Park Elementary succeed. An emphasis of the Naval Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps is teaching high school students citizenship, leadership development, and a sense of accomplishment. To fulfill these goals, Lieutenant Commander Eric Tyson's cadets were in search of a school to adopt, while Newsom Park's professional school counselor, Richard Green, was looking for student mentors. To fulfill the needs of both schools, Heritage's cadets visit Newsom Park every other week to tutor and mentor second grade students. 13 cadets take turns, visiting in teams of 4, focusing on tutoring students in math and reading. They also spend time sharing some of their NJROTC skills through fun activities, such as flying drones, drills, and flag folding. By serving others and gaining important volunteer hours, the Heritage High Naval Cadets are fulfilling their mission to assist Newsom Park's students as they succeed academically. Hundreds of students from Virginia gathered at Heritage High School to grow as student leaders who will create a positive impact on their school's culture. The annual Jostens Renaissance Regional Conference returned to Heritage this year, offering student leaders from 35 middle and high schools the opportunity to collaborate and gain inspiration about new ideas for improving the climate at each of their schools. Heritage's student ambassadors enthusiastically greeted over 950 students as they arrived for the energetic conference, including Newport News students from all 6 high schools and 4 middle schools. Renowned educator, administrator, and public speaker, Dr. Phil Campbell, kept students and faculty engaged with collaborative exercises, fun games, and informative examples of how students can take the lead in positively transforming their school day, while also increasing graduation rates and attendance numbers. Using ideas and leadership skills gained at the Jostens Regional Conference, students were given time to huddle with their peers and design an action plan for recognizing students and staff, welcoming new students, and branding their school as a site of success and achievement.
I hope you enjoyed this month's School Board Spotlight. During our regular meetings, we provide time for the public to address the school board. These opportunities are scheduled at every on every part of our agenda, and also towards the end of the meeting, in the early part of our agenda. As advertised, citizens may submit comments via email up to 30 minutes prior to our meeting time to be included in the official meeting record. For those of you joining us in person, the board considers this an opportunity to listen to your comments. Please understand that we will consider your concerns. We ask that you comply with our 3-minute time limit. As you begin your comments, a green light will come on, a yellow light will signal that you have 30 minutes remaining, and a red light and beep indicates your time is up. As your name is called, please come forward. Lily Robinson.
Hi, good evening. How y'all doing?
Good.
First of all, I'm going to ask y'all and stuff for a couple more minutes because I'm coming from downtown East End, Newport News, where I live at and been living at all my life. And I'm speaking for us on behalf of us down there and stuff. And it's a lot of us and everything and stuff. I'm not going to try to go over, but I just need for y'all and the parents and the citizens and all that's here to give us help in downtown Newport News. They have abandoned us. They have abandoned our children. They got us living in poverty and everything. I was born and raised here. I am 77 years old. My name is Lily Ann Crump Robinson. My dad and mama, Robert and Mary Crump, trying to make a better place for us. I live down the street from the ex-mayor. We was living in dignity, and we was living middle class. We had everything in Newport News. I left here and went to New York because there was no job. I come back in the 70s, the late 70s. They started taking everything. It was nothing here, and they've been taking ever since. They have me at 77 living in the back of a church that I used to cut cross and stuff. They got our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren in Marshall Court that didn't even belong to us, and they're still holding on to it while they're tearing their stuff and not trying for us to go in it. I left there in 2013. They had embezzled and everything, the guns and everything. Then they turned our high school. I didn't graduate, but I went to Huntington. And I've traveled to school boards through 3 generations, has gotten no help. We are asking y'all in downtown Newport News because Mayor Jones, God knows, thank God for him, because he has helped this old lady. I done been over there worrying them. This is the first time I'm here with y'all because I'm asking y'all and begging y'all because I got grandchildren and great-grandchildren and everything. And our children need better. They done closed the Sky Center and they done closed Dora Miller just before the spring break. And where are they supposed to go to? Then they have telling us what they're going to do with Huntington. But they still want to hold on to Whitaker Hospital and have them SSI people, the housing got in there. They recycle place and put us in Marshall Court, a church that I used to go across the cut to get to where I lived at. We want better. We want y'all help. And the school board and stuff, I went to y'all years and stuff. Years ago when they had the, on Aberdeen, the different dumb places and stuff, they used to have our children and everything. I done brought my grandchildren here for mental health and everything. No help. And y'all finally made it so that we made national news. When that child, a young child shot that teacher, we was all the pieces down there. I could not believe it. I had to turn around in my wheelchair. I said, they done did it now on national news. Bad News, Newport News, 25 and J, whatever you want to call us and stuff. And our children need help. This Easter weekend, from the slum place I moved out on 32nd Street and Madison Avenue, from the slum laws that they let get away and code compliance don't take it, to the back of that church, they had the lady, 42 years old, that Thursday to Friday got shot right in front of where I used to live at. Friday to Saturday morning on 26th Street and Chestnut Avenue, a 3-year-old was killed. And Saturday when I went out to get my Easter ham and stuff, come back, it was taped off and stuff. We are tired of it. We want our children to have the decent place to live at. And I'm asking y'all right now, what are y'all going to do with our kids? They're about to get out of school. They had nowhere to go. You got the churches. Oh, God, our church helped us, Miracle Temple, I love them. They even made an education center out of liquor store I used to love. They have helped us in that neighborhood. Newport News happen. We want to hold, y'all say y'all holding everybody responsible. Y'all got it up here with the school board. We need to hold Mayor McKinley, ex-Mayor McKinley Price and the city of Newport News for this and stuff. And we need them and we demand them to do better, because when they do better, then all that gun that happens to y'all at Rich Snake that we have been getting for years at Huntington Middle School with our kids and guns and stuff, they didn't need no book bags and stuff. They hear about school. I had grandchildren to go there and ask for help. But anyway, I'm about to leave. I'm about to go.
Thank you.
But all I'm asking y'all is, can y'all please help us in downtown Newport News and stuff with our kids and grandkids and stuff, and to make it better for y'all and stuff. They left us for over 50 years building up them in Riverside and stuff. So that's all I got to say. Thank y'all for listening.
Ms. Robinson, thank you for coming.
Y'all have a blessed one. Thank
You
you.
too.
We need help out here. Y'all never gave them nothing new. Tell me they tearing up stuff that's old. Give them something new. They'll take care of it. They take care of them phones.
Valerie Fashion.
Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Fashion. I'm here tonight to advocate for my grandchildren and other children that's attending Rich Neck Elementary School and the other public schools in Newport News. And I would also like to discuss the disparate treatment of the Newport News School Board's school substitute teachers. The school board appears to be doing the best they can to educate our children. However, this has led to hundreds of students functioning below grade level in reading, math, spelling, and writing. Why is it that the Newport News District no longer uses textbooks for the reading, spelling, science, and math? Students also do not have a signature because they do not know how to write or read in cursive. What Newport News schools, elementary, middle, and a high school, participated in the spelling bee this year? Your substitute teachers in Newport News are the backbone in this school district. However, substitute teachers are the only group of Newport News school system employees that are given stipulations in order to be placed in a drawing to receive a prize. Not everybody will receive a prize. All the other employees receive a bonus without any stipulations. Because of the shortage of teachers, substitute teachers are being used for replacements. We are not given any training, and we are expected to do the same job as the regular teachers without the pay. Substitute teachers should be put on a scale that takes into consideration whether they have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD degree, and the amount of years that they have helped this school system out. Without dedicated substitute teachers, your class size would almost double. You would go, right now those classes are running about 24 kids on the elementary level. And you have to split a class up if you don't have enough teachers. And so that would make this class go from like 24 to 36 kids. Those students, you cannot learn in those type of environment. There's just too many kids in the class. A lot of kids have issues, and it's very difficult to teach a class full of children that has issues. It is important that this administration place the importance of educating our children for success first. Thanks in advance for making the needed changes. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Kitty Morgan.
I've issued my notes. Notice that I had the wrong date. Forgive me. Please edit. I have emailed you all previously with 2 things to read. Thank you, Dr. Best, for your reply. I stand before you today as a 31-year veteran teacher of Newport News Public Schools who retired in 2020 and as an advocate for division employees, students, families, and the community. In no particular order, the following list represents what I expect when determining who will be the next superintendent. I mentioned yesterday a couple of things, and I'll mention some more a couple nights from now. But a background in education that includes exemplary classroom teaching, building administration, and division leadership, experience working for a district, as I said yesterday, where employees have collective bargaining rights, and or who will wholeheartedly support such for Newport News Public Schools and work with them to strengthen contracts, ensure better pay and benefits, working conditions, and better learning conditions for our students. Not an insecure leader who surrounds themselves with yes people, but a secure and effective leader who surrounds themselves with those who challenge them to be and do better, as evidenced by leaving Newport News Public Schools community better off than the previous day, week, and month. A team player who will work alongside instead of independently from the school board and Newport News leaders. Two things bear repeating. As I've previously said, this year's budget process went better than any in recent memory. And you should never again be put in the position of saying, we didn't know, on a local stage or world stage. Integrity and transparency, from little things to big things, should be considered non-negotiable. Among other things, the security and safety of the entire Newport News Public Schools community depends on it. I'd appreciate a superintendent who is visible, approachable, someone who will roll up their sleeves, get to work on time, and in the school buildings, classrooms, sporting and other events, get to know employees, students, and families in the community they serve. Help a teacher with a lesson, substitute, read to or with a child, support some professional development by participating in it, ride some school buses, support the PTA by attending their meetings and school-based meetings, do some meet and greet in community centers and places of worship. The next superintendent should not be an isolated, unaware, difficult to contact, removed, unknown figurehead moving forward. In speech and action and with a sense of awareness, the next superintendent should value and appreciate every employee in the division and their contribution. And like you, shun and shut down the promotion and practices of fear, intimidation, retaliation, guilting, etc. I think that's all I'm going to speak to. You have my notes and my contact information, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Jamari Moore.
Good evening. My name is Jamari Moore, a junior and rising senior at Woodside High School. On Wednesday, March 29, 2023, the disciplinary officer came to a conclusion that it was best choice for me and my sisters to return to go to an alternative school for the remainder of the school year because of a situation where we had to defend ourselves without the help of the administrators from Woodside High School. No one took the time to really think about the consequences that was issued and how harsh it was, and when me and my parents have been reaching out for help and no one has helped us. No one took the time to say, who is this kid and how did this kid get involved into the situation? The repercussions for our actions that were distributed by the school/disciplinary officer is very unfair. I haven't been into any trouble, excluded from school, or written up. In fact, all of my teachers speak highly of me, according to the principal, Dr. Nichols. I'm a junior rising senior who goes to school and wants to participate in many activities in school, but they have taken that away from me. Being a lead character in my spring play, volleyball leadership, student athletic training, and running for class president has all been wiped away from me. Along with my chances of getting a certification at New Horizons, my Thespian Society Award, and my Magnet Seal has been taken. I'm a student of dignity, integrity, and treat all with tenderness and respect. To walk into a classroom and greet my teachers with a smile on my face and kind words each day means everything to me. I hold my education dearest to my heart, and I push for greatness. I always do what needs to be done to get my work done. I agree that a punishment is definitely needed, but I don't deserve to be punished for an excessive amount of time. School for me is like my second home, somewhere I feel comfortable and positive in an environment. Being out of school hit me hard, knowing that everything that I've worked for has gone to waste. I trusted the adults around me to handle the situation, and they took it lightly. Woodside High School has let me down, they failed me, and most of all, they have failed to keep several students safe. There are some students who don't want to be at school, who skip school, who actually have behavior problems. I'm not one of those kids. There are people out here just like me who see school as the #1 priority and who would do anything to further their education. But the schools take advantage of that side of them, which leads to more kids being exposed to chaotic danger that's been put into our schools and communities. As a member of the school board, I'm sure that the main focus is to provide students with resources and support necessary to succeed beyond high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamari. Janie Bazemore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Janie Bazemore, and I am here once again to say, look in your own backyard with respect to the superintendent search. You tried the national search thing. Now let's look for one who has knowledge of the Newport News public school system, one who has been in the trenches and know what it takes to ensure not only a safe environment for our children, but one conducive to learning and that meets equal disciplinary procedures, one who believes in all of our children, and one who believes that Huntington Middle School must be a priority. For almost 5 years now, we have stood before the school board asking only that the middle schools in the zone be able to attend their school as intended by the court-ordered plan and the compromise, a neighborhood school. Mayors and city managers do not build schools. The Code of Virginia states that school divisions are responsible for the building and administration of the schools. Why then has this board and division conceded to allowing the city manager to dictate the plan for Huntington Middle School? Ladies and gentlemen, the demise of Huntington is based on inattentiveness of the school board and the school division several years ago. 5 years and no school. The opening has now been set back by the city by another year. The schools should have reopened last September. Are you as a board going to continue to allow these delays? We are also asking your attorney to do his or her job, because there are several improprieties in the way the Huntington project is and has been handled. A good superintendent will be ready to advise the city administration that we're not going to take it anymore, that they must relinquish that control over this plan so that we can get about the business of reopening Huntington Middle School and doing so at 3401 Orchid Avenue. And now you know what's coming, right? Huntington Middle School shall rise again. Thank you.
Pam Hall.
Good evening. I am Pam Hall of the Southeast Community. Democracy is a way of governing which depends on the will of the people. In 1971 and in 2018, Huntington was closed without input from the Southeast community. When will our voices be heard? The people of the Southeast community want to keep the school at 3401 Orchid Avenue on school-owned property. We want a new STEAM school building with athletic fields for students and community use. We deserve to have our voices acknowledged and our tax dollars spent how we see fit, not people telling us what we can have. We have educated, competent people in the Southeast community that are capable of making decisions about what is best for our community. Yes, we need the school open as soon as possible. We have one chance to get it right and should not settle for less than we deserve because of the constant delays by City Council. It is absurd for a school that will house 600 students with room to expand if needed to have a gym that only seats 125 and no room to expand the seating. Bring democracy to the Southeast community and don't be influenced by the mayhem to destroy democracy which appears daily in the news. Many sacrifices have been made for the sake of democracy. We need to honor those sacrifices. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. James Graves.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a product of downtown Newport News, born and raised, and I thank all of y'all for speaking up and saying something about it. I come to you in reference to collective bargaining. We're now in the process of starting our petition cards. Collective bargaining will be a great advantage to our school system. We can be the first school system in the Hampton Roads to put a shock in the entire Virginia to start collective bargaining process. We have also been asked to make sure that we start the petition cards next week. We have been given the information that we can start. So I want to make sure the school board put y'all on notice that we'll be asking for signature cards from all Newport News public school employees who would like for Newport News Education Association to be their negotiation association. This is my first year as a president, and it's been a whole lot of things going on. But I thank God that He has given me the strength to have this day to come before y'all and say, we're ready for collective bargaining. And we want you to understand, like I said back in September, it is not a us versus them culture. It is a togetherness, collaborating together for the safety and academic welfare of our children and our staff. The second thing, there's an attendance procedure that started in second marking period that came out from the previous superintendent. There have been numerous of calls, numerous of tip lines. There are students who are making B's and C's in their classes, and they have a job. They have to take care of their siblings at home. And they fell into class because of this 9-day rule. That is wrong. And whatever procedure came out, the school board need to make sure that this policy or this procedure, whatever it is taken care of. It's wrong for students who are working hard, having jobs on the outside, taking care of their siblings, doing their academic work, have an A, B, C, or D, and all of a sudden they miss that 9th day and they have to fail the class. We're sending the wrong signal, ladies and gentlemen. The wrong signal. We need to do something about that. We need to let these youth know that we care about them. And we need to change that procedure and give these young men and young women who have worked out. It's not like back in 1970, back in 1980. Kids got to work now. Kids got to take care of their siblings. We need the school board to make sure that we're on guard, to make sure we understand that. And the solution is relook this procedure over, start over again. If kids are missing 9 days or whatever, give them an opportunity to do Saturday school, to work out things. But don't let these kids just fail this class. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to thank everyone who came tonight for their comments and thoughts. We will now move on to Section 3, the consent agenda, which includes 3.01 minutes from the public hearing on March 14, 2023, 3.02 minutes from the work session on March 7, 2023, 3.03 minutes from the regular meeting on March 21, 2023, 3.04 financial reports, including the revenue report for March 2023, the expense report for March 2023, child nutrition reports for March 2023, 3.05 5, the personnel report. 3.06, FY 2023 school construction grant program, and 3.07, budget transfer. At this time, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question about the construction grant. If the superintendent would give some explanation on the when did we win the grant, and I do see that there is various facility improvements that the grant is going to use for. Are we going to be able to reapply for this grant, or is it?
These were one-time funds for the current fiscal year. You all approved the original proposed utilization in October of 2022 as a part of the consent agenda. Subsequent to that, we've completed some of the projects, but the bid that we had out for Rich Neck came back far higher than what we anticipated. So we would like to repurpose some of those dollars to complete the Rich Neck project. Passage Middle is still in the design phase. We'll use the residual to complete. Based on what we just got back from Rich Neck, we're anticipating some potential cost overruns for some of our existing HVAC projects that were funded by ESSER. So we would like to have some contingency there as well.
And then I do see that there's some work being done for South Morrison. If you could just detail how quickly the work is going to be done. And
that was my question.
So South Morrison should be complete. It's the updates in the construction report. It should be somewhere in the middle part of May. That's phase one. The slab on grade building, the metal building that the Gatewood staff was in, is now vacant. So that's occupiable at any day. And we anticipate that the phase one of the facility will be complete by mid to late May. The last thing we're waiting on is the HVAC units.
Okay. And how did the division qualify for this grant? Was this through CARES Act funding?
It went to everybody from the state. That was our allocation, was $8.1 million. I think that's the total.
Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas.
Yes.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Fairhart.
Thank you.
Further questions on the consent agenda outside of the school construction grant program? Okay. Please call the roll.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Great, thank you. The next item is our superintendent's personnel recommendations. So I think we will hear the recommendations through our motion, and then we will hear a little bit more from Dr. Mitchell. Now, do you have a motion? Yes.
Yes. Madam Chair, I move to approve the superintendent's personnel recommendation for Myra Legg as the new executive director of the Education Foundation.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Dr. Mitchell, would you please introduce the administrative appointment?
Absolutely, with pleasure. Good evening. I would like Ms. Myra Legg to stand at this time. I'd like to introduce Ms. Myra Legg as the new Newport News Foundation Director. Ms. Legg has a Bachelor's of Science in Social Work and Psychology from Longwood University, a certificate in fundraising and development and planning giving from the University of Richmond Institute of, this word always gets me, philanthropy. Ms. Legg is currently the executive director of the Individual Giving and Stewardship of Widener University in Chester, Pennsylvania. She has worked as the executive director for the Virginia PTA and as a consultant for the Curtis Group Consultants in Richmond, Virginia, an executive director of development at Randolph-Macon College in Ashland, Virginia, a director of development for Preservation Virginia in Richmond, Virginia, and a campaign manager for the Virginia Living Museum right here in Newport News. Congratulations, Ms. Legg, and welcome to the Newport News family.
Welcome. Ms. Legg, do you have anyone joining you today? Oh, we are very glad to have you. So the next item on our agenda is Section 4, Action Items. On the agenda this evening is 4.01, Special Education Annual Plan. Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, as you recall, last month, Vivian Vitullo, the Director of Special Education, presented the recommendation or the recommended spending plan for our annual special education funding. If you recall that funding, her recommendation is that we continue to utilize the funding for staffing positions that support the work that the teachers do. It supports us. It enables us to hire some of the teachers that we need. And so tonight I come before you asking you to approve the proposed spending plan.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the special education annual plan.
And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hunter.
4.
Alger. 4. Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Searles-Law.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We will move on to Section 5, Reports and Information. 5.01 is our monthly school update. Dr. Mitchell.
Good evening. Tonight, in our school update, I promise you a treat. Not only are you going to gain a lot of information, you're going to enjoy hearing about it and seeing it. Tonight, Ms. Anne-Marie Hanrahan, who supervises our early childhood programs, is going to share with you information regarding our program for our earliest learners.
Thank you. Good evening. Hi. Good evening, Madam Chair Searles-Law, Vice Chair Dr. Best, board members, and Dr. Mitchell. My name is Anne-Marie Hanrahan, and I am the instructional supervisor for our preschool program. And I am also joined by our preschool instructional specialist, so I do want to introduce her. Cynthia Watson is here in the audience. So Cynthia, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Well, I would say our team is small but mighty. That's where we have our small but mighty preschool team here. So today I am here to give you an update on our Newport News Public Schools preschool program. There we go. All right. Our mission every day in Newport News is ensuring that all students are ready to graduate college, career, and citizen ready. Our strategic plan, Journey 2025, and the Newport News Public Schools Profile of a Learner guides this work. Under the support of the state-funded Virginia Preschool Initiative, preschool programs can reduce disparities among children entering kindergarten and reduce or eliminate those risk factors that may lead to early academic failure. That is why, in our preschool program, we are working to increase access to our program for more children across Newport News. We know that high-quality preschool programs provide a foundation for learning and prepare students for success in kindergarten and beyond, helping to make these young learners college, career, and citizen ready. Tonight, I have the privilege of introducing to you to a few of our very own preschool students from what is the class of 2036.
Oh.
I always have to double check that math, but it is 2036. So these students who I'm going to introduce in just a minute are learning both English and Spanish as part of the dual language immersion class at Watkins Early Childhood Center. And so I'm going to introduce you just a minute to my new friends. We have Elsie, Jocelyn, Grayson, and Mariana. And I'm also going to introduce you to their fabulous preschool teachers. So, all right, friends, Elsie, Mariana, Grayson, Jocelyn, you want to come on up? Come on up, guys. This is Elsie. This is Mariana. We have Grayson and Jocelyn. You guys want to wave to my friends? And I also want to introduce you to their fabulous preschool teachers. We have Mrs. Tiffany Solaro. Come on up. Come on. And Miss Heidi Rodriguez. Come on up. And then one last, we have Susanna Bailey. Come on up. And Susanna, my colleague, is the supervisor of our World Languages program who oversees the dual language immersion program. So we, as I said, small but mighty, but we travel with a lot. And so I brought my friends with me today because remember how we had been talking about, we've heard that you're learning so many amazing things, right? In English and in Spanish. What do you think we should show our friends tonight how you learned how to do? What did we practice earlier? How to count in Spanish. And you know how to do it in Spanish and in English. Should we do that for our friends? Yeah. Okay, what should we do first?
English or Spanish? Spanish.
Let's just, okay, Spanish. We were super excited. We want to show you how to do it in Spanish. Okay, ready? We're all going to do it together. Ready? Uno, dos, tres.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
All right, so we've learned the Spanish, but some of us have also learned the English, right? So should we try it in English now? Okay, let's do it. Ready? 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
As you can see, so out of these 4 students, 2 of them began the year as native Spanish speakers, 2 of them began the year as native English speakers. When they were counting, I can count to Spanish in 10. They kept going, and I was blown away by that. And so when we were chatting earlier, you were telling me all the great things you've been doing in your classrooms, right? So Elsie, do you want to tell me something that you've been learning today? Or just in your classroom, what have you been learning?
I've been learning about trees.
You've been learning about trees. What have you learned about trees?
Flowers grow on them.
Flowers do grow on them. You're right. They have important jobs. That's right. Jocelyn, what have you been learning?
I learned what the trees.
You've been learning about the trees. What have you learned about the trees?
What the fruit.
The fruit. Oh, the different fruits. What were some of the different fruits?
The apples.
The apples. And have you learned about it in English and in Spanish? Do you want to tell me something about it in Spanish?
Dale. ¿Cuáles son los colores de las manzanas que has aprendido?
Rojo, verde, amarillo.
Excelente. Ahora dímelo en inglés.
Red, yellow, green.
Yes.
Wow. Very good. Grayson, what's something that you like to do in school?
How learn paper comes from trees.
Oh, you learned that the paper comes from the trees. That's very exciting. What do you do with the paper?
You draw on the paper.
That's right.
That's right. Awesome. And what do you think, Mariana? What's something you like to do in school?
The lecture about bananas.
Oh, she learned about the bananas.
Oh, you learned about the bananas. That's right. The bananas grow on the trees too, don't they? And you were telling me earlier, you guys like to do something fun with your friends, don't you? What's it you like to do with your friends? You all sort of have the same answer.
Play.
You like to play and sing songs. I've heard you've been practicing songs.
And you need to be kind with your friends.
You do need to be kind to your friends, don't you? And they'll want to be your friends, and they'll want to play, and they'll want to draw with you. And you were very kind. I will tell you, they were sitting in the office. It was the sweetest thing. They were so kind to each other. So thank you so much for being here. You are so brave and kind for coming up here. Can you give yourselves a big round of applause? Thank you so much. Adios.
Adios.
Yes, we do. You know what? Let's go over here to my friend Miss Brooks first because we got you some special gifts. Thank you. And thank you, families, for bringing them tonight. We appreciate it. We know it's actually almost some of their bedtime, so we very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as you can see, these students clearly show the impact of preschool on students' academic and social-emotional development, meeting the needs of all students, as well as providing specialized programs like the Dual Language Immersion Program across the city. So now I would like to share some experiences and statistics about preschoolers across our entire division. Here are just a few numbers or points that show our preschool students are on track for meeting kindergarten readiness skills. For the sake of time, I won't go into depth about each point. However, there is a copy of this infographic in your packet. I think it's very large. I think you get a very large copy of this packet. And we will ensure you also get this digitally so that in case you want to click on any of the embedded links, you will be able to. But to highlight some of the trends we saw during the first half of our preschool year, our enrollment numbers have continued to increase across the school year as our schools have worked hard to fill open preschool slots and increase our enrollment. We have highly engaged students and families, both at home through their participation with our online family engagement tool, Ready Rosie, and in school through our visiting Mayor's Book Club readers. Our teachers have been working hard, expanding their own learning and growth through ongoing professional development across a variety of topics. We are continually working to provide improved communication to the greater Newport News community, which you will see on our revamped website, which is consistently being updated. And finally, our data shows that our youngest learners are achieving developmentally appropriate academic goals. For example, the mid-year literacy data showed that in just half of a year, 3/4 of our students are on their way to meeting the early literacy benchmarks for their developmental age group by the end of the school year. You can clearly see that when students have early access to comprehensive early childhood programs, these are the powerful and positive results. To provide just a little more background about the Newport News Public Schools preschool program, we are a free full-day program available to 4-year-olds in Newport News. We have classrooms across the city at 4 different school sites, and students are assigned to a school based on their home address, just like our K-12 students. And just like our K-12 students, transportation is provided and breakfast and lunch is available every day at no cost to our families. Students in our preschool program learn developmentally appropriate concepts through hands-on project-based investigations. These experiences promote discovery and inquiry with opportunities for children to think critically and develop process skills by nurturing mathematical skill development, promoting language and literacy skills, while building the social emotional foundation children need. In order to help our program provide access to as many students as possible, I am inviting each of you to be an ambassador and a champion for our next class, which will be the class of 2037. And here is how you can do that. The application for the upcoming 23-24 preschool year is now available online and can be accessed via the Newport News website. If families have questions or need support, they can call the Newport News Public Schools preschool office here at admin. And our application is fully online. However, if any family needs in-person support, if they do not have access to a device or the internet, or would just like a friendly face to walk them through the process, they can call or visit any of our early childhood centers to request this support from the office staff. And last month, we were excited to be available at March Mania at Warwick High School to share information with many interested families and provide them the opportunity to apply right there on the spot. We look forward to meeting more prospective preschool families at the One City Wake Up and Read event this weekend and the STEM Community Day in May. Finally, I would like to leave you with our commitment for the future of the Newport News Public Schools preschool program. You can see that we are hopeful and optimistic about extending our access to the Newport News community by growing our program with additional classrooms in the coming year. Additionally, I look forward to coming back in the future and sharing with you the details of how our program is continuing to grow and the increased support we are able to provide for our earliest learners, as we work over the next 3 years to increase the access to our program to over 1,000 students. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for welcoming our youngest learners who bring a lot with them. Thank you. And thank you in advance for being an ambassador for our preschool program and our youngest learners in Newport News. Now, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have about our program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have a question for families who might be on the cusp of kindergarten, if you've got a child who's going to be, say, 5 September 15th, but you really feel like they're a little young to start kindergarten. can they apply for the 4-year-old preschooler because their child's going to be 5, or are they stuck waiting a year?
So it's a good question. We do get that a lot. We get a lot of parents calling asking about ages, and that is one of the areas that unfortunately we are very strictly bound by the age requirements. And so a child has to be 4 by September 30th to be in our preschool program. And then to go to kindergarten, they have to be 5 by September 30th. So if a child turns 5 before September 30th, like in your example, they would go to kindergarten. If they turn 5 after the cutoff, they could apply for preschool, and they could give us a call, and we could talk to them about the options of if they could be screened to go into kindergarten at that time. But they have to be 4 by September 30th to go into the preschool program, and if they're 5, they go to kindergarten.
So they don't have the option to redshirt, so to speak, in 4-year-old
to come early.
pre-K.
Unfortunately, no. The VDOE is very strict about that. I know we get that question quite often, and disappointed parents.
Ms. Alger?
Yes, and I thank you so much. This is awesome, and bringing the kids here is just really great. Do you see in the future expanding it to 3-year-olds at some point?
We are very hopeful to be able to do that. The state is encouraging that as a possibility in the future. Currently, we are working on building back our 4-year-old program since the pandemic affected the program, but we are hopeful for that in the future to be able to include 3-year-olds, as we know that is a need across the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Best?
Okay, and thank you for that presentation. Mrs. Alger and I had an opportunity to visit Watkins Early Childhood Center, and we saw just wonderful people and some wonderful things. And I got so excited because Grayson, that was with the class,
I heard.
he's actually a great nephew, so I was excited to see him. But he talks about all of the things that he learns in school, and it is absolutely amazing. So hats off to the teachers and the program doing an outstanding job.
Thank
so parents,
you.
if you're listening, you want to sign your kids up if they are eligible.
Yes, the teachers work so hard. They are such a dedicated group. As you saw, we had 2 here tonight, and they have been hanging out with the little 4-year-olds and their families, right out there, and they were eager to do it. So thank you, absolutely. I cannot say enough about our preschool staff, the teachers, the assistants, the administrators. It is an amazing community. Yes, thank you, Dr. Best.
Any other comments or questions on this end? Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
bringing us
much.
joy today.
Thank you. You are so welcome. Have a great evening.
I would next like to introduce Shondalyn Thomas, the elementary English supervisor, who will share information and updates regarding the elementary English textbook adoption process at the division and state levels. Tonight, Shondalyn is accompanied by her team members, instructional specialist Melanie Malsbury, and the Director of Elementary Curriculum, Lori Wall.
Good evening. Good evening. I don't have all the cuteness with me. You'll just have to bear with myself. I think I'm a little cute, but not as cute as the little people. So I apologize for not bringing all the cuteness. But I would like to share with you information today regarding our textbook adoption process. So good evening, Madam Chairman Searles Law, Vice Chairman Best, Interim Superintendent Dr. Mitchell, and members of the board. I am Shondalyn Thomas, the elementary English supervisor, and I am joined this evening by my teammate, Miss Melanie Malsbury, and our Director of Elementary Education, Miss Lori Wall. I'm going to share with you today information regarding the elementary English textbook adoption process. The Virginia Literacy Act, passed in 2022 by the General Assembly, aims to reverse the downward trend in literacy and improve early literacy outcomes for all Virginia students in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. There are several components and requirements of this act that will yield change for students, teachers, and our families. Even though this act does not go into effect until 24-25 school year, there are 2 components that have an immediate impact on the textbook adoption decision-making process. I have provided a printed copy of the Virginia Literacy Act for you as an overview because I will not be covering all of the components, but I wanted you to have a hard copy of the Act. First, the Virginia Literacy Act requires that students in kindergarten through 3rd grade receive core literacy instruction from an evidence-based literacy curriculum for the entire literacy block. Secondly, all instructional programs and materials used during the literacy block must be aligned with science-based reading research, the Virginia English Standards of Learning, and provide high-quality reading instruction. As part of the Virginia Literacy Act, the VDOE has partnered with the Virginia Literacy Partnerships at the University of Virginia in an instructional review process for core curriculum materials. One result of this partnership is to develop an instructional materials program guide, which will include a list of recommended instructional programs and materials for use during Tier 1 instruction. This review process has 2 phases of criterion evaluation. The first phase has been completed. However, the second phase is still underway at the state level and will conclude in late May or early June. In 2019, the Virginia Department of Education released a list of approved textbooks. However, this list of approved materials does not reflect the current body of reading research, nor meet the requirements of the newly passed code. In 2021, elementary English was eligible for an adoption of core instructional materials, but the committee recommended to defer the adoption process in anticipation of updated guidance and approved core curriculum materials from the VDOE. This decision resulted in a cancellation of award in last April. The textbook adoption process for us is on a 7-year cycle. However, with the Virginia Literacy Act going into effect in school year 24-25, the elementary English department cannot wait 7 years to adopt. Armed with knowledge that the VDOE would release an updated instructional materials guidance, our team embarked on the adoption process this year. Today I will share our process and conclude with final recommendations from the English department. I want you to be advised that due to procurement regulations, I'm unable to share specific information regarding vendors and proposal packages that the committee received for consideration for adoption. So from here on out, you will hear me refer to those vendors as offerers because I cannot release that specific information at this time. In November, the elementary English team began the request for proposals, or RFP process, to select the most appropriate high-quality materials for our students. A set of required and desired criteria for textbooks was developed using the state textbook evaluation tool and other research-based sources such as Ed Reports and the National Reading League. The textbook adoption committee was formed and included representation from across all schools and K-12 collaborative departments. The committee was comprised of 2 teachers from each grade level, from kindergarten through 5th grade. Teachers were selected by their administrators to serve on this committee. Additional members included 2 reading specialists, 2 administrators, an ESL and special education instructional specialist. These members were selected by their respective supervisors. I also served on this committee. I would like to note that the majority of our original committee members from last year elected to return to participate in this process, with only 3 of our members having to be replaced. This allowed for a more seamless and streamlined process this year. In December, the committee reviewed textbook proposal packages from 9 offerers. The review period was from December 2nd to January 5th. Members reviewed and rated each textbook using a common rubric that evaluated 3 components. Component 1, alignment with VDOE English standards, UBD framework, and the Newport News Public Schools Pre-K-12 Literacy Plan. Component 2, instructional design and student experience. Component 3, instructional planning and support. 3 offerers with the highest scores were selected to move to the next phase of the adoption process. January 10th through February 21st marked the review period for all instructional staff, administrators, and the public. Teachers were given digital access codes to textbooks and accompanying online resources from the 3 offerers to conduct their review and evaluation. Physical copies of textbooks for each grade level from each offerer were available here at the school board office for teachers and the public to review and to share comments. These textbooks were evaluated using a digital version of the common rubric that our committee used. On February 22nd and 23rd, the 3 shortlisted offerers were invited to give presentations and host a Q&A sessions for the committee as part of the process. Committee members were able to receive answers to any specific questions they had, and after these sessions, the committee voted, and 2 offers with higher scores were selected to enter the negotiation process. At the conclusion of the negotiation process, the committee deliberated and cast their final vote and determined a recommended offer for adoption. In late May, early June, the Virginia Literacy Partnerships will present its Instructional Programs Guide, which will contain the list of approved curriculums to both the VDOE and the Virginia Board of Education for final approval. Therefore, the Elementary English Textbook Adoption Committee has determined a recommended offer. The decision to award to this offer is contingent upon its approval as a recommended core curriculum by the Virginia Board of Education. With an anticipated May-June release of this VDOE-approved core instructional programs guide, we have developed a 2-year plan to guide our curriculum work and the integration of the new core instructional materials. I would like to share with you first the factors that we considered as we developed our plan. Timing. As previously stated, the Virginia Literacy Partnerships and VDOE are slightly behind in their timeline to release the list of recommended instructional programs. The Virginia Board of Education may not receive this list to review and vote on until late May, early June, which means we wouldn't get a decision until July. This delay would not allow adequate time between the purchase of materials for us to implement in August of 2023. The English department would not have sufficient time to develop curriculum pacing, units, instructional resources, or provide professional development for our teachers for all 6th grade levels. Additionally, as part of the Virginia Literacy Act, a new literacy screener will take effect. It has been developed to better align reading research to practice. Our teachers in grades K through 3 will no longer administer PALS, a screener they've used for the past 20 years, but they will move to a more comprehensive literacy screener that supports teachers in analyzing students' early literacy development needs. Our team would like to focus on supporting teachers in the use of this screener and how to utilize data in conjunction with existing curriculum materials to develop lessons that meet our students' needs. The English department has worked diligently this year to provide explicit lessons aligned to all tested standards in grades 3 through 5. For each tested standard outlined in the SOL blueprint, lessons have been developed and reviewed by our teachers. Each lesson follows the explicit instructional model as required by our Newport News Public Schools Pre-K-12 Literacy Plan. Additionally, supplemental materials are available to teachers to support them as they develop additional lessons. So now I'd like to share with you our plan. Year 1 of the plan focuses on continuing to strengthen early literacy skills with the use of evidence-based instructional materials throughout the literacy block. The division has purchased 2 programs that will complement existing curriculum components to provide more opportunities for explicit phonics instruction and guided and independent practice in phonics and reading comprehension skills. Kindergarten through 2nd grade will implement UFly Foundations, an explicit systematic phonics program that will provide daily phonics lessons as part of whole group instruction. This program was developed by a research team at the University of Florida Literacy Institute. It will provide daily phonics lessons, as I stated, following a carefully developed scope and sequence designed to ensure that students systematically acquire skills necessary to be proficient readers. Teachers will utilize this program during whole group instruction. This program is one that is highly recommended by Virginia Literacy Partnerships. In grades 3 through 5, the division will continue to provide daily reading comprehension lessons focused on standards reflected in the Standards of Learning Testing Blueprint. These lessons are developed using the supplemental text that have already been purchased by the division. In addition, all grade levels will utilize Lexia Core 5. Lexia Core 5 is a computer adaptive program that provides instruction and practice in phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. The adaptive nature of this program accelerates the development of literacy skills for students of all abilities. Teachers and students will utilize Lexio Core 5 in both small and independent practice. Throughout the year, the English department will work behind the scenes with the new textbook and materials vendor to develop pacing guides and curriculum units. We will also collaborate with the vendor to provide training opportunities for teachers to familiarize themselves with the new materials and prepare for implementation in school year 24-25. Year 2 of the plan focuses on integrating and implementing the newly adopted textbook materials into the curriculum and providing extensive professional development to support this initial implementation. We will also continue to use the UFLI Foundations and Lexio Core 5 in both Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction. Our next steps. The English department will continue to monitor the developments stemming from the Virginia Literacy Act with a specific focus on the release of the Instructional Materials Program Guide that will have that list of approved curriculum. Upon receipt of the approved instructional program guide and confirmation that our recommended offerer is on that list, textbooks will be purchased. If the offerer does not make the approved list, then the committee will reconvene to determine next steps. Thank you for your time and attention this evening. At this time, I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Start on this side. Mr. Brown?
I guess I'm struggling with what is the demand signal for getting a new textbook?
Because the adoption cycle is on a 7-year basis, and last year we were up for our 7 years and then we decided not to adopt. So now it's our turn again, and we don't want to forego that, so that we'd have to wait another 7 years.
I guess I'm understanding our cycle, and I do recall us delaying the cycle last year, but I'm struggling with what's wrong with the textbooks that we have right now that we need to adopt a new set.
Well, currently right now we don't have a core textbook that we use. Right now the division is utilizing supplemental materials, and we as a team, as an English department, we have developed our own curriculum materials and lessons. So we currently do not use a textbook per se.
So 7 years ago a decision was made to not have a textbook?
Yes.
I'm trying to understand the logic. So I'm lost on the logic of how did we, what rationale did the previous board use to decide not to have a textbook? He was on it.
Mr. Harris is trying to help
Here
me out
we
a little
go.
bit. He was like, you were on that board. I think Lori Walker answered provide a little bit of background because she was a part of that process.
So just to make sure I have your question, why 7 years ago did we not? So in that textbook adoption, we purchased, so there wasn't a core basal textbook that was adopted. There were small group books and there were mentor texts. So there was a purchase that was made. It wasn't a core textbook. And at the time, the approval process allowed for you to build a curriculum around those materials. 7 years later, the Virginia Literacy Act is saying, hey, we're coming back to say those materials now are not approved because of what we know about the science of reading. So 7 years ago, we were in line with what we purchased and followed the prescriptive adoption process and brought that recommendation to the board. And it was approved. But again, now we're in different times under a different code.
Okay. And so 7 years from now, likely they'll say
7 years from
that
now,
book wasn't any good.
What will the code say?
Have to get another one. So
Yes, sir.
I guess my biggest angst of what I heard my rabbit ears got up was eliminating PALS testing. So does that depend on the offer that we select, or
it's an actual replacement?
Yeah.
So University of Virginia, who supervises PALS, They're just replacing it with a more comprehensive screener. So it's going to be something that's better aligned with the reading research, and they're just renaming it. It's more comprehensive, and it's going to be renamed VALS, the Virginia Assessment for Language and Literacy Skills.
It is the state screener. So this is replacing for everyone in the Commonwealth. That is also part of the Virginia Literacy Act, that this new screener.
So this is the law says that we cannot use PALS testing to assess our students anymore?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, they're saying we have to now use VALS, which is replacing PALS.
Rebrand.
And I guess I'm struggling with, and I apologize that the rest of you seem like you're up on this, but I'm struggling with the part of we have invested a lot of time and resources into being able to assess PALS and work that into our curriculum, see how students are progressing from one year to the next, be able to make comparisons.
This new screener will be used in the same capacity.
How comparable is it to PALS?
It hasn't been released yet, so we haven't seen it. So we are attending upcoming webinars where we're getting a little bit more information, but it has not been fully released
Still
to the
meets
public
the
yet.
same criteria. Will kids still be identified for being at risk for reading? Yes. Will there be individual tasks where you can capture there are benchmarks? Yes. The task will just be different, but the purpose behind it will be, are we catching kids early, and how do we know that? And so premise the same, tasks are different.
And there is no option.
No, as of right now,
I'm
yes,
saying
that
for-
is
for
the new.
PALS is what I'm saying.
Yeah, PALS will go
That's
away
what I'm saying,
with the
Mr. Brown,
new.
is that there isn't an option, even if we wanted to say we want to use
Yes.
PALS, that's not an option.
No,
That's
PALS goes away.
According to the Virginia Department of Education.
The Virginia Literacy Act.
According to the
which
Virginia
is-
Literacy Act.
Yes, not the Department of Education.
Okay. So according to the General Assembly that passed the Virginia Literacy Act.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Since this is a new change, we will greatly appreciate you all keeping us updated. So, other questions I know I have, I feel them to my left.
I'm sure
you have questions.
I
You do need
just
one?
have a question in
Okay.
terms of, let's say the textbook that was selected is not on the list. Then are you starting the cycle all over again? Is that what you're doing?
So we have to go back to our procurement department about what would be our next steps. So it doesn't necessarily mean we would have to start over. It could be we look at the
Other two.
the
Number
other
two.
two, the other ones that were on the list to look at
Okay.
this. So we'll just have to go back to with our procurement department to see what are our next steps. Yes.
Okay. And as far as the purchasing, because I mean, in a perfect world, I mean, it would be wonderful for the teachers to have their textbooks come September, and I know how much stress that can be with in terms of the transition and all. Just making sure and pushing hard in terms of, hopefully everything will fall into place. What was selected will be on that list. And hopefully the vendor can cooperate and provide us with just immediate and expedite everything that needs to be here for our students, and because it impacts everybody. So anything that we can do, and I know that with the Virginia Literacy Act, they're still trying to figure it out at the top level. So my kudos to you for trying to stay on top of things, given that that's not been straightened out yet. And that's impacting everyone. It's not just Newport
Yes,
News.
not just
It's
us.
impacting the whole state of Virginia.
Ms. Amon, did you have a comment?
I have a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
I don't think they're super long, this. I hope it's easy. So just from the start, I think last time we went through this process, we got like 2 bids, and now we got 9 or something. Is there a reason why we got so many this time around?
Well, we went back and we opened up our criterion, and we aligned it more with that body of research so that we had vendors would be able to submit proposals.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And you mentioned it's physical textbooks, which I think is really good. A lot of the feedback I've gotten in frustration has been, where do we look, where do we go? So I think that's going to be well received. Will they be physical, and then will there be like digital options, since the kids now have devices if someone's homesick? Talk to me about that.
Yes. All three offers do offer printed and online components, so students will have access to them through their devices.
Okay. And I wanted to piggyback on the, well, two things. One, you said the committee voted for one. Was it a strong majority? Were we sort of on the fence? Are you allowed to say anything?
I
about
don't
that?
know how I can.
Or maybe you can talk to me offline.
Say that?
Yeah. Well, I think we can't share it this
Okay,
time.
we'll talk offline. And then on the implementation, with all we've been through, I know our teachers went through letters training last year. Is that still going to inform some of this? We talked about these other things we were doing this coming year. Is this like we're implementing two things, something new next year and then the textbooks, or can we get the textbooks soon just so they can familiarize themselves, and if teachers want to add a little bit, they can start?
That is
playing
the
with it.
year one part. So the year one part is we develop you to look at the textbooks and the professional development. Year two, you implement, so that you're not learning a literacy screener, the new textbooks, new small group instruction. So in year two, they implement. In year one, they spend the year learning.
Okay, and the UFly and Alexia Core 5, is that also learning something new? Is this?
They're soft launching UFly. Some of them are doing a soft launch right now.
Okay.
During this time, and they are definitely wanting. That's been an ask.
Okay, and will that continue when we have these new textbooks, so it's not sort of like lost training and usage?
It will continue.
And how about the Lexia? Is that similar?
Similar, yes. We do have some schools that are piloting that as well and getting lots of positive feedback.
And it'll work with what we're getting.
Yes.
That won't replace it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
Dr. Best.
Okay, thank you. So you said there will this new series that you're well, I'm also glad to hear about a textbook, because that was one of the number one complaints I would hear as far as literacy. And then teachers, they just shared that with new teachers, it was kind of hard with the way, I'm just sharing with you what they shared with me. So I know in the past we were doing a lot of things with Beth Estelle. How does that play in with what we're doing next year without the adoption, and then with the adoption, and then with that first year plan, like what is different from what we're doing now as well? And then finally, with the textbook adoption, because I would just run across people and I would say, have you looked at the textbooks? And a lot of them had not. So I was wondering, what kind of feedback did you get? I know you got it from the committee, but for that feedback, did you get it from the entire district, or more so just from the committee?
Well, I will take that last one when
Okay.
it comes to the adoption process. So we did receive feedback from teachers. Teachers were given a digital evaluation Google form. All teachers.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. They received access to the evaluation form via a Google document, and we captured teacher feedback in that capacity. And then we also, like I said, had the display out here where the public could come and give us feedback. We did not get a lot of feedback from the public, but we did get a good feedback from our teachers.
Okay.
And that feedback was used by the committee to help inform their decision.
I'm going to work backwards because you're going to have to tell me the second one. So I know you asked about our work with Beth Estel, who was a literacy consultant that we worked with. And Beth is in the same boat we are as well. She is revising and revamping as the Virginia Literacy Act has kind of altered some of the work we're doing. So teachers can take those lessons that we've had. They would have to make adjustments to them, just like we need to make adjustments to them. So is the work that Beth did with us able to move forward? It will be able to move forward with adjustments, just like everything else. So they won't be able to use those things as they are currently. But again, we can support them in that moving forward. Tell me what you're...
And I said, I heard one of the things you said, that what you're recommending now will be more focused on phonics. It will be focused more strongly on phonics. And my question was for like that, the first year that we're implementing something as we move towards the textbooks, what's different from what's being done now?
Gotcha. So the UFly Foundation lessons, they currently have lessons that they built in the curriculum that are small group instruction, around small group instruction in the science of reading. This actually has, it has been piloted and researched. It is endorsed by the Virginia Literacy Partnerships. What we would have to now, because the Virginia Literacy Act is in place, we would have to send our small group lessons now to the state to be vetted and approved if we want to keep them, which we can do, but we can use UFly already for our teachers, and they already have a known bank of what to do. So their knowledge base is there. We're just changing the resource out for them. So how they've been implementing, because of their letters training, that they're going to feel very comfortable and are feeling very comfortable with those that are using UFly currently this year.
Thank you.
So I think they'll be happy with what they're receiving.
Mr. Brown, I think you have another question.
This will be my last.
Go ahead.
My last question / comment. I just I believe understand a lot of resources have been poured into curriculum and development around the books that we have today. So I think that's likely really what I'm struggling with is I would like to fully understand what's new and different about this set of books versus the set of books that we have. Gotcha. How are we utilizing letters training that we've already invested a lot of time, energy, and resources into? How are we going to transition from PALS to this new test? I'm still
struggling.
I'm still struggling with. I don't really accept that we have to discontinue PALS. I get it that there's a law, but I also have a vote. So I don't really necessarily accept that we have to transition away from PALS, where we've invested a lot of time and resources into being able to benchmark and track our kids as they progress from one generation to the next. And so I'm going to just suggest that perhaps we should have a work session in the future where we can just go through both of these side by side and really see what is different. I don't have an issue with buying books, but I do have an issue with buying books just because someone's telling me to buy books.
So I will tell you our current.
So if it's just that someone's telling us to buy books, then I have an issue. But if we're buying books because these books really support a curriculum that we're on a path to achieving, and then my other question is going to be how much curriculum and development time was put into the last set of books, and so how many years is it going to be before we have a fully fleshed out curriculum for this set of books? And that's an open-ended question. And those are the things that are a struggle for me to accept this.
Yeah. So I guess a continuation of that for me is the books that we're currently using, are they even no longer on the list?
Correct.
And I think that's what I was understanding you were saying. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So then my next question has to go to our parents, trying to support our young ones with reading and doing it as Miss Fashion is just here on the right night, trying to do this without a textbook. What resources does Lexia Core 5 and UFly have for parents to be able to support their students?
Do you want to speak to the decodable pieces?
Yes. So for UFly, it does come with a wide variety of resources that our teachers can access, and one component of that are decodable texts that the teachers can print and they can send home with our students. We also have purchased decodable text in our as part of materials that are in each schools, and teachers can utilize those as well to send home with students. When it comes to Lexia Core 5, again, it's a digital platform, but it does come with a lot of resources that we can use through our student devices to upload so that students will have access to those when they're at home and working with their families. So we do have some parental support pieces that do come with both UFly and Lexia Core 5.
Okay. I think I don't want to speak directly for the board, but I know that's been one of our concerns, is that when we have something new, it is sometimes disruptive for families and for teachers. And I know you all are the experts in making sure that this transition is seamless until we get to the new textbooks. I just would like us to get ahead of that for the new year, for us to be able to have sessions for our families to be able to really understand what the trajectory is and the purpose is of what we're using for this year. So,
Yes, ma'am.
all
We
right.
can do
Thank
that.
you both.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Right, we have 5.03, the attendance report, 5.04, the membership report, 5.05, the construction report. Board members, you've received copies of these reports. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I just want to make a comment about the attendance report. I appreciate the superintendent's work that has gone into revising the report to reflect more so what our board and our division is tracking in terms of attendance for our students. So I thank the staff and the administration for pulling this report together.
Yes. Okay. Now we'll move on to 5.06, comments by the interim superintendent, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you. There's a lot of good news to share this month. Newport News Public Schools has once again been named to Virginia Living Magazine's top schools and universities list. Our school division is recognized for our magnet program, STEM curriculum, AP courses, dual enrollment, CTE courses, and our youth development program. Newport News Public Schools is featured in the magazine's State of Education section in the April issue, which is on newsstands right now. Kudos to our Human Resources Department. They've been working very diligently to recruit, hire, and retain staff. I am very happy to share that as of today, 92% of our anticipated elementary school vacancies, teacher vacancies, and 92% of our secondary teacher vacancies are filled for next year. So again, for elementary, 92% of our vacancies for teachers have been filled, and then 92% of our secondary teacher vacancies have been filled for next year. So we're super excited about that. In addition, 95% of our special education teacher vacancies are filled at this time. So kudos to Nina Farish and the HR department.
Yes, we're giving a real clap.
During the job fair this past weekend, Nina, I have two numbers in my head. Either 17 teachers were hired or 13. 17 teachers were hired also this weekend at the job fair. So again, thank you for your efforts. We have the highest fill rate in recent years at this point. So we're super excited.
Super.
This morning, we hosted the annual George Green Field Day out here at Todd Stadium. The event started with a parade featuring our student participants. They were cheered on by their families, teachers, and staff members from the administration building. And for those of you who aren't aware, George Green Field Day has been in existence for many years, and it's a big field day for students with disabilities who may not have the ability or the option, I won't say the option, but just the ability to fully participate in the field day at the school. So we do a big field day out here, and all the schools come to participate. Families come, teachers come. As I said, administrators, people from this building. Students participate in a variety of physical activity stations, and it's coordinated by our physical education staff. Special thanks to the schools. The schools sent their drum lines and their cheerleading teams. They came to support our student athletes out there. They always have a great time. Congratulations to the Triple Helix robotics team based at Menchville High School. The team successfully defended their title as champions of the first robotics competition Chesapeake District. They have advanced on to the World Championship in Houston, which begins tomorrow. So send them your good wishes. They also earned the Innovation in Control Award, which celebrates innovation control techniques. So we wish them all the best tomorrow, and we will formally recognize them during the next month's board meeting. In recent weeks, Newport News students have showcased their research and findings. 75 students participated in the All-City Science, Engineering, and Technology Fair, and dozens advanced to participate in the Tidewater Science and Engineering Fair. These annual investigative events are the culmination of months of hard work on the behalf of our students and our teachers. While working on their investigation, students learn the processes of research and engineering design and the technical writing skills needed to clearly and effectively communicate the results of their experiments. Congratulations to all of our student investigators. And if you want to see a complete list of the winners, please visit our website where we have it posted. April, we have a lot going on. April is designated as the month of the military child, when we recognize and honor our military-connected students for their resilience and courage. Our region is home to Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine, Navy, National Guard, and Reserve families. As a show of support, I invite all students and staff to wear purple tomorrow, April the 19th, for Purple Up Day to show our combined support for our military students. This is also National Autism Awareness Month. There are numerous community events taking place throughout April to increase understanding, acceptance, and foster support of children and adults with autism. Newport News Public Schools has a wide range of resources to support and advance our students, and I would personally like to thank all of our dedicated special education teachers, instructional assistants, and general education teachers for their service to our students, because we need to keep in mind that a student with a disability isn't always receiving instruction from just a special education teacher. Our general education teachers are a part of the process and are very supportive of our students. This is also School Library Month, so special thanks to our dedicated library media specialists and their assistants for helping to increase information literacy skills and for empowering learning. In addition, they have developed innovative programming and encouraged scientific thinking through maker spaces. And finally, next week is Administrative Professional Week, and I want to take a moment to thank all of our office professionals, administrative assistants, secretaries, and office assistants in our school division who work diligently every day. Please thank them for their hard work. We thank them for their hard work and dedication to our students, staff, and families. And because I have the pleasure of visiting schools, I want to also extend a special thanks to all of our staff for demonstrating their commitment to our students and our families, and for their commitment to each other as well. Yes. That concludes my comments for this evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. A lot is going on in April. So we'll move on to item 6, another opportunity to hear from the public. Are there any cards?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll move on to the agenda, matters by the school board. I'd like to first extend condolences to 2 of our board members, Dr. Terry Best in the loss of her brother, and Gary Hunter, whose mother passed earlier this week. He has left to get on the road to go home. So we will flip to some of the things that are facing us in a very exciting and positive way. Miss Manadero, I'm excited to hear your news.
So what you were talking about was I am going to the U.S. Naval Academy. I'll be going June 29th.
Wow.
So 3-week summer break, and then I'll be off. And so I'm really excited for that. I'm looking forward to it. Preparing for it now. and then on other matters, for SAGE, we had our student exchange, like the shadowing of all the different high schools across Newport News, and we had that yesterday and also today. And so tomorrow we'll have our SAGE meeting, and we're going to discuss what they might have observed about what was different between all the schools, and just have a good discussion on what they learned during their shadowing. And then finally, we will have our student representative election next month in May for next year's student representative. And so I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to come up for that one. Yeah,
Thank
that's all I
you.
have.
We have thoroughly appreciated your service. We're not telling you bye, of course, yet.
Not yet.
But did you hear the prideful claps? I mean, we're just so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Mr. Brown.
All right. Well, yes, congratulations again on selection to the Naval Academy. We're all extremely proud of you. And we're all extremely proud of all of the student athletes who came before us tonight. Very exciting to get the opportunity to get our picture taken with these celebrities. They are very fast, and looking forward to seeing even more things. Hopefully they will continue their athletic careers in college and beyond. I had, again, promised the community that I would update them, because folks have been asking me about the safety proposals that I had put forward back in, I believe, February. And recall that I had talked about 12 areas within the areas and 12 items within 3 areas. And the 3 areas were board reports, operations, policy, and then personnel. And within the area of board reports, infractions by discipline category, and a report on consequence by infraction, and an audit of our safety plan. I'm very pleased to report to the community that I believe all of those reports are forthcoming. I have been able to see drafts of the infractions by discipline category and consequence by infraction, and I believe that those reports will be uploaded into the board's dashboard, so we'll be able to review that safety information and do that analysis. I also understand that the audit of the safety plan is going to be presented to the board in June, so the public will have an opportunity to view and listen in on some of the safety plan improvements that have been planned and the work that has been done. In the area of operations, I had 4 proposals. The teacher ownership of discipline referral data, a routine practice of security scenarios with a report out to the board, increased parental involvement in the PTAs, and getting South Morrison operational. So I'm very pleased to announce that I want to thank the superintendent for all of the work that has gone into really reconfiguring a system so that the teachers are able to input their own discipline data and track that data through the process. So we now have assurances that that idea has been fully implemented. I'm really excited for teachers, because that's one of the number 1 things that teachers who spoke to me that they asked for. So I'm very pleased to report that. Practicing our intruder drills. I am pleased to announce that I believe that the board is going to receive a report on our intruder drills, practicing on the practice of that this summer. So I'm looking forward to that. I know that the superintendent is working hard to increase parental involvement in the PTAs. There was some additions to some of the forms for volunteers that have been made already, and looking forward to seeing that greater involvement. I also understand that the South Morrison site we heard tonight in the construction grant has been applied to South Morrison to get HVAC and roof replacements done. And as I understand it, the South Morrison site will be operational in the fall. So looking forward to having alternative education being provided for our students who would otherwise be on short-term suspension, being able to get learning done and not be out in the street or sitting at home. So very excited about that. Finally, last 2 areas in the area of policy. I talked about a parental accountability via referral to domestic court, emergency special meeting of the board for a violent event, and curbing cell phone use by students on school property. So in the first 2, policy JS has been drafted, and I expect that will be coming to the board for a vote up in June, which will hopefully ratify our support of parental accountability in our division. The emergency special meeting of the board policy, we did have a great meeting with the policy committee. I want to thank the policy committee for the work that they've done so far. There was an initial draft that's been worked on, and a draft I believe is going to be hopefully ready for the board to vote on in June. So I do know that work is going on. The cell phone use, I know I didn't necessarily get a lot of takers on that one, but I want to give a special shout out to Woodside High School that they did give me a tour. I want to thank Dr. Nichols for her team. They have a cell phone free school environment. So I want to point out to the community and the rest of the board, it can be done, and Woodside High School has already demonstrated to me that they're doing it, and they've been doing it all year. And then lastly, in the area of personnel, had two proposals. That was a director of school safety and appointment of a chief communications officer. So as I understand it, we're getting our director of school safety. We talked about that tonight in our work session, that is a position that is going to be opened up. So I'm very pleased that we're going to be adopting that. And I also understand that the superintendent is investigating a chief communication officer. So we've had some more discussions about that. So that's a maybe. So out of all 12 of them, I'm going to say I'm going to count 10 out of 12 are going to be done, because I can't guarantee they're going to pass, but I'm glad we get them up for a vote, and we're going to push them forward. Then maybe it'll be 11 out of 12 that we'll get, and you never know, we may get some takers on the cell phone curbing as well. So thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Harris.
No comments, ma'am.
Thank you. Mrs. Alger.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who presented this evening. I continue to meet with different folks from different departments to get to know, the different parts that make up our school system. It's not enough for us to just sit here and make decisions, but we've got to be engaged and knowing who you are, what you're doing on a daily basis. To me, that's really important, and I know all of us have been committed to going out to schools and doing what we need to do as far as our part in supporting our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Amon.
I'll keep it brief. Thank you all for the information, and I'm really excited to hear what's going on as far as the elementary English textbooks. I think that's been much needed and a long time coming. I know it'll be a bit of a process, but as a parent, I'm also encouraged about the possibility of resources coming home to parents. So those that want to come alongside and support their students, they can do that. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Great. Thank you. And Dr. Best.
Yes, I'll be brief as well. I would like to offer condolences to the family of Izzy Brown. She is a retired educator with over, I believe it was 43 years of experience. And she retired, I believe, from Carver Elementary School. But she, even though she's gone, the people that she impacted, the administrators that she mentored, it will continue to, live on. So I just want to say, offer condolences to her family and say thank you. And also, Mr. Brown and I had the opportunity to speak with some Christopher Newport students with Mrs. Cook from Menchville. And it was very engaging, and I would like to thank her for inviting us. And hopefully they learned something from us and we learned from them. They weren't education majors, they were sociology majors, but Mrs. Cook did tell me she was able to convert one of those people to library science. So that was great. At HU, the class I spoke with, they were education majors, and all of them are aspiring teachers. So there are young people that still want to teach, and I just want to say thank you to them, and thank you to Mrs. Harton for inviting me to speak with her class. But it was a pleasure, and I'm glad to see aspiring educators. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Well, I guess that leaves me. I want to give some thank yous to where we are right now. Just from our safety session that we had a really great work session earlier today. You can look in board docs to see the chart on the areas that we've had improvement and areas where we are continuing to improve. I was very happy to hear that we have finally received all of our weapons detection systems, so all of our schools are covered at this point. That's the exterior, and that's important. The interior is equally, if not more. And so just to hear what's being done with training and opportunities for our staff and teachers to engage and be proactive and to be able to share with us in a way that allows us to all take care of ourselves. It was very rewarding, so I encourage you to take a look into board docs. One of the things that I was very passionate about, I think the rest of the board was very passionate about, was us taking responsibility of keeping our schools safe. It was troublesome to me that we were allowing folks into our schools by letting them either follow behind us or leaving the door open. It's one thing for a student to do that. It's quite another for a teacher or a parent. So all of our schools will be affixed with a new welcome sign. It reads, "Welcome to our school. For the safety of our students and staff, all visitors must ring the doorbell and be identified before entry. Please do not hold the door open for others." I wanted it to say, "Make sure it closes behind you," but we didn't have room on the sign for that. And valid ID required. So I'm giving that charge to all of us, that we heed this sign and that we do our best to keep out what we can keep out. And we hope and we pray that our other measures that we are putting in place and that we have in place are also going to keep our students and our staff safe. So with that, I adjourn this meeting.
Thank you so much.